To reduce your interest rate in less than 5 minutes. I'm going to explain to you what you can do. With my clients, once they exchange contracts, I normally send out a PDF document of property hacks of what you can do once you own the property, and things that you can do to maintain it and get ahead. And in one of those steps is how to reduce your rate. Now, we get at a point in time where we get stuck. We may not be able to move lenders. We may not be able to refinance depending on certain situations, but it doesn't mean you can't reduce your rate. Okay, so here's a little tactic. Back in the past, rates weren't increasing. They're kind of stagnant and just staying where they were. Now, as of course, since I think April 2022, rates have been increasing every single month. How can you reduce your rate? Well, firstly, every time there's a rate increase, I would call your bank and ask for a rate reduction, okay, or a rate review. And what they'll do is have a look at your rate and they'll reduce it for you. Believe me, if you do not call, they will not do nothing with your rate. They'll leave it at the new, if it's on variable, they'll leave it at that new rate that's increased. So you're going to ask for a rate review or a rate decrease, okay? Now, what they'll do, 9 times out of 10, they will help you. If it's a good bank, they will help you. It doesn't matter what lender it is. If it's a tier 1, 2, or 3 lender, they will help you, okay? Now, if the bank does not want to help you, the next thing you're going to ask is for, okay, then that is fine. Can you give me a discharge letter? A discharge letter means you're going to discharge a loan from the bank and move to another lender. They do not want you to move. Believe me, the banks do not want you to move. They want you to stay there. How the banks make their money is by loans, by interest charged out, of course, and of course printing money when people come for a new loan and they want some credit. They don't make money by having your money in a term deposit and charging you fees on credit cards and things like that. It's by the loans. So what they're going to do is they don't want you to leave. So you ask for a discharge letter and you say, listen, I'm going to go to another bank, another lender. I'm going to go to my broker and get everything organized and see what he can do for me moving on to a different lender. Now, what they're going to do is going, no, please do not leave. Don't leave. We want you to stay. We'll give you a rate review. Please let me speak to my manager or speak to someone ahead, above them that can make the call and pull some strings. Okay. And the reason why you should be doing this is because you're lowering your interest rates. Now, the banks make trillions of dollars. Okay. They're not in a vulnerable situation compared to some people, and it's okay to go out there and actually ask for these things because you're a loyal customer. You're someone that most likely you're paying your mortgage on time. You've taken out a loan with them. There's no ifs or buts. You do what the bank says. Okay. So for their customer service, by giving you guys a rate reduction is what the least they can do. And if they don't want to, I guess ask for a discharge letter and take your service somewhere else that can give you a better rate, a better service, and actually look after their customers. Because there's some other tier banks that are tier 2 or tier 3 banks, the small little banks that we probably don't even hear of, that actually look after your clients, their clients, much more with much more respect, and it's something that you should appreciate. For instance, RedZ is a lender that probably no one's ever heard of. Okay, I used them for a property loan for myself. What did they give me when I settled? A hamper and a bottle of wine. Okay, tell me if CommBank or ANZ has ever done that for you when you have taken out a loan with them. I guarantee that happened. Okay, so what I'm saying is the grass is always green on the other side with other banks. Okay, so make sure you do this. Lower your interest rate today. Do it every single month if rates are going to keep increasing, and they will reduce your rate. Believe me, they will. Now, keep in mind, guys, if your property has grown in value and you haven't done a refinance or a revaluation on your property too, this is another little hack. Let's say it's been 1 year, you've owned the property, you purchased it for 400 grand, okay, it's a year down the track, you haven't got a rate review, and they say to you, oh, client, your property is still valued at 300 grand, the loan to value ratio is still 90%, you've got a 90% loan and a 10% deposit when you purchase that property, so the property's still valued at that 400 grand. Now, what you have to do, you have to be smart and say, oh, can I get a valuation done? And they can order you a free valuation where they get someone to go out there, or they do a desktop val and they see what it's grown by. If the property's grown by 100 grand, 50 grand, 100 grand or more, your loan to value ratio will start to change. So then it's in your favor to actually lower your interest rate, because then the LVR will change. You can either as well pay for a full valuation for someone to go out there, do a valuation, and they might come back and the property is worth more than what the desktop value is, because the desktop value is literally on the desktop, on the computer, doing a valuation, which is not really accurate. Where if someone goes through the property, you've done some renovations, you've done some upkeep to the property, landscaping, whatever it may be, or even just that the property's grown in value and it's moving in the right direction, and there hasn't been anyone that's gone through that property and done a full valuation, I recommend you do that as well. And when that happens, your valuation will start to change. So let's say hypothetically you bought it for 400, now the property's worth 480, it's grown by 80 grand. The loan to value ratio is now 80% to 20%. Even though you've only put a 10% deposit, and I'm getting a bit carried away here, and this might be a bit too high level for some people, but what it's done is you've bought the property at 400,000 and you put a deposit down of 40 grand, so the loan is at 360. Now the loan's at 360, but the property's not valued at 400 now, it's valued at 480. So the loan to value ratio changes. So now it looks at that it's an 80% loan to a 20% deposit, and so that's what happens here with the discrepancies. And so it's a good thing for the owner, because then of course you can actually refinance, you might be able to take out some equity, but not that you can reduce your rate a lot more because now the property's changed in value. Okay, so hopefully this makes sense. Hopefully you get a bit of clarity about this and you've learned something new. Definitely call up your bank today. Give your bank a call. You can go in there if you like, but I think calling is much more easier and flexible. Ask for a rate review or reduction. If they do not want to give it to you, say that's fine. Can you please give me a discharge letter? Email it to me. What they're going to do is going, no, we don't want you to leave. Okay, if they do that, of course now you're going to be able to get a rate review or a reduction. Okay, any questions, please let me know. If you would like that document, okay, that I am talking about, it's our client checklist, please just comment or actually send us a message to us on our Facebook group, and what we'll do is we'll grab your email details and we'll flick it across to you guys. Okay, hopefully you've got some value from this. Okay, but go today and do this every single month. If your rates increase, and not even if they increase, let's say your rates stay stagnant, or even when they decrease, you can ask for an extra reduction, because they can be quite conservative and just lower it, and sometimes they can even do it a little bit more. Okay, which I've done in the past. All right, thanks guys, I'll speak to you soon and we'll see you next week.